Oh, all right, everybody. I have 20 minutes, but I just want to blab away. Um, I do. I have no one to talk to, but all these thoughts in my head. um, Most times I get on here, it's a video journal, but I'm still trying to dumb myself down for you guys. Um, but I don't know. I was reading the Sumerian stories, and they just fascinated me. It was just like, oh my god, they're so fascinating because you look at the Tales of Ninurta, and I'm reading this, and it's like I've heard these described in two different ways. Um, in one way, they're described as like modern, like Marvel stories. Like Ninurta is like this Marvel fucking type hero. um, but they're also described as like religious texts almost. And I'm reading this and I'm like, OMG, how can this be a religious text? It's very blasphemous, right? Because to me, I don't know, it was just pretty obvious that Ninurta was being made fun of. Like, this is a god that is fucking being made fun of. Um, but you could definitely say that there is a sort of doublespeak going on within these stories. Because you can get both meanings out of it at the same time. Um, I mean, to me, this is basically human psychology, and these ancient authors are talking about human psychology, and you have characters out there like Ninurta, or Esau from Moses. These characters that are just manly men. They're manly men. But they're tools. You know, and their heroism is a tool. Like this is definitely happening nowadays, and it's. I mean, you can see it happening out there. It's heroism being used as a tool. Um, but these people, like when I was reading it, I was asking the question: Is Nanuta a bad man? Is he a bad man or is he a good man? Um, because he ends up committing, genocide. Shit. Oh my god. And there's like this genocide comedy happening in the story, and I'm just sitting back. I'm like, oh my god, this is like dark humor. um, but he's a raging idiot. He's a tool that if this tool gets out of control, then it can do some damage. That's why they say that golems can become violent. Beware of creating a golem. That golem can turn on you. Um, but there's definitely a doublespeak that was happening in this Tales of Ninurta. As well as the descent of Inanna. It's like in the descent of Inanna, you have Inanna. She's a goddess of the Mesopotamians or the Sumerians. Not the Mesopotamians, but the Sumerians. Yeah, and she has a sister, Ereshkigal, and Ereshkigal is queen of hell, right? But this is just, I mean, Ereshkigal is a toxic person, and there's been death in the family, and Inanna just wants to be with her sister. She has these good motivations. She just wants to hang out with her sister. But in order for her to hang out with the Ereshkigal, she has to take off her crown, right? In other words, she's got to be stupid. I mean, there's just some people who, like I always thought it was weird growing up that, you'd find people out there that praise their own stupidity. It's just like, those people exist. Like I was a story writer. I wanted to be a story writer when I was younger, and I'd look at stories and examine stories. And one of my favorite stories was the animated Adventures of Batman. Fucking what was it called? Yeah, I mean it was the animated Adventures of Batman. Um, it was one where Mark Hamill played the Joker, right? But that was a good show. But in it you'd have these goons. You'd have the villains, and then you have these goons, and these goons were just so stupid, And I'm a teenager. I'm like, these goons are just like unbelievable, But it's like, as I got older, I'm looking around the world, and I'm like, oh my god, these Batman goons are just like everywhere. But anyways, so for like toxic people, you have to take off your crown. You have to be stupid. You can't be smart, otherwise they're insecure, so they'll be jealous of you. These are toxic people. What we would in the modern day call toxic toxic relationships. um, I mean, they're just so insecure, right? They're so insecure, and that's why the goddess, or the god of wisdom, sent his minions down, and his minions knew how to deal with the Reshkigala. And what they did was they said, "Oh, poor Reshkigala," and this is just like the tales from Ninurta. In Ninurta, it is good to praise you. And the Torah says exactly the same thing. It's like there's some people who have good hearts, and if you try to correct them, then they'll thank you for it. But there's some people out there, you try to correct them, and they'll hate you, and they'll want to destroy you. These are the toxic, the blind, the prideful, the pathetic. The pathetic. I mean, that's what we're talking about. I'm probably covering up the speaker right now, shit. But we're talking about the pathetic. But yeah, no, if you go back to this, these Sumerian stories, it's like, I don't know, for me, there's this idea, right? Because they're speaking in a double tongue, these Sumerian stories. On one level, their stories speak to the dumb, but on another level, they speak different, right? So there's a double tongue going on, but as soon as I read these stories, it's like I saw what was going on, and it's like I realized they'd gone a bit too far, and that's why they had violated the veil. I recently did the Divine Pymander, and I've been doing Divine Pymander for a long time now. But it was only this last time that I did it that I boom, I unlocked part of it, and it was just like, oh my god, this guy's a silly childlike man, and he's making fun of toxic people. Like, he's just totally making fun of toxic people, but he's trying to hide himself from toxic people. And I think he and Moses, and I think Moses was a hero of Hermes, but they were all about hiding yourself from the toxic person. As was the Sumerian wisdom. It was the same wisdom, but the style is totally different. And the style of Hermes and the style of Moses is just more hidden. Um, I mean, Moses, like, I've been learning about Moses recently, and it's just like, this guy's hilarious. It's like, do as I say and not as I do, right? Don't marry Gentile women, and he marries a Gentile woman. Don't kill, and he just starts killing all these Jews. Don't covet thy neighbor's goods, and he steals from the Egyptians, and like any Jew he kills, he takes all their stuff, and it's um, like, do as I say, not as I do, right? But there's a riddle going on in all of it, and it's all about the heart. It's all about the heart. If you're a good, loving person, then you win. You totally win. But you have to also be wise, and you have to earn that wisdom, and you have to be able to see the true nature of it. And just like the god of wisdom in Sumeria, it's like you got to, play along. You got to hide yourself. You got to enter into the darkness so the darkness sees you not. But let your light shine. Um, but yeah, no, and that's the advice that Hermes gives. It's like, hey, don't be around these people. It's like, and I think that's the same advice that Moses gives. Purify your household. It doesn't seem to be the same advice that Jesus of Nazareth would give. So there's maybe a difference there. I don't know. But I think totally in Moses you see this like separation. Hey, Lot, you go over there and I'll go over here. Like, you gotta purify your household. That's what the sacrifice of Abraham's all about. If your child is a murderer, then you better want his death, or you are a murderer. It's about freedom and the terrifying consequences of having a family in a free world. But I think that's the God of these Sumerians and of Moses, but there's this just interesting style thing, because to me it was just so obvious. Like, this writer of the Tales of Ninurta was making fun of Ninurta. Like, he conquered all this territory, and then this goddess comes up to him, and she just starts gaslighting him. and she's able to get a bunch of land from him just by gaslighting him. It's like he's a tool. He's a total tool. But I mean, I think we see this in life. Um, there are people who see, and there are people who don't see. And that's why I believe that the Torah is locked. It's locked away from people who don't see. Because you have a good-hearted person who just doesn't want to see, blind, right? But sometimes the people who see don't have a heart, right? Um, and you need both. You need to be able to see, and you need to have a heart. And I think I think that's what these Sumerian stories accomplish. You know, it's like this view of Eresh Gala is that she's living within her own hell. This is not being imposed on her by anybody. She's choosing to embrace the hell of her own life. Fuck, I have 3 more minutes. I'm just blabbing away anyway, so I can end it anytime. But, damn, these Sumerian stories were super interesting. Obvious, though. It was like it's like they went too far, and they weren't. They didn't hide themselves enough, because sometimes, if it's about the heart, because I think that's what Moses would teach. It's about the heart. Sometimes you can have someone who has no heart, but they might have a lot of head and a lot of ambition. And if they understand anything that's being said, then evil would be multiplied.